Throughout development, GabrielOflTM's characters underwent many changes before they became what they are in the current game now. Today we're going to have a look how the GabrielOflTM class has changed between the alpha version and the modern day version of GabrielOflTM. So first we're going to talk about Citron. This character went through multiple different changes to his primary weapon throughout development, as you can see through different videos that the developers posted. In current day versions of the game he has a laser, but in older versions of the game he was meant to have a burst weapon, as you can see on screen. For whatever reason they decided to swap it to a beam, and by the pre-alpha footage that is on the official PVZ YouTube channel, it was already decided to swap it from the burst to a beam by then. Even though this weapon was completely removed from GabrielOflTM, it did persist into the launch version through Toxic Citron. Since this DLC character wasn't finished, they most likely used a pre-existing weapon as a placeholder, which meant they used the original Citron weapon as the placeholder, so we were able to extract all the files and see exactly how this weapon would have worked in game. Funnily enough, this weapon hits 20 per shot, which is probably the strongest weapon out of any Citron variant. This could however just be a placeholder damage value, since obviously it's an unfinished weapon, and no gameplay shows exactly how much this character would have hit. Citron's primary wasn't the only thing that was changed in development though. In the pre-alpha footage you can see that Citron's ball form doesn't actually have different abilities. However, the person playing as Citron is able to charge it up, so I'd assume this was binded to the regular attack button instead. It also appears that he doesn't have any form of hyperball as well. Finally for Citron there's his peel shield, or as it was referred to originally, the energy shield. In older versions of the game, the peel shields used to follow your camera as you looked around. Thanks to Gargos we can see how this would look in game because of his beta mod. So now moving on to the zombie side with the Imp. Unlike Citron, Imp didn't really get many changes to his kit apart from some damage values and health values, but we're going to go over all the little things now. So to begin with, you'll probably know this already, but Imp used to have 50 health as opposed to 75. This persisted all the way up to launch until they changed it in a patch. Along with this, Imp Carter used to do a lot more damage too. In the beta it used to do 6 damage, and in the version they showed off at E3 it used to hit up to 15 damage. And in the pre-alpha video that PopCat posted on their YouTube channel, Imp seems to hit between 9 and 12 damage with Imp Carter. The damage seems to go up and down depending on how close or far away the target is from him, and it seems like he don't have any form of homing on his weapon either. Real quick, I'll also mention about the Imp Flyer as well, which is an unused weapon for Imp that can only be seen in the E3 trailer. In game the camera is completely broken, it's untextured, and it is just a reskin of the engineer drone, so there isn't much to talk about for the Imp Flyer other than the fact that it just exists. Now let's talk about the Z-Mech. There's a few differences between the version in the pre-alpha video and the one that we have now. First of all, the mech has 400 health as opposed to 350. There's also some flames on the top of the mech as well from the Wolf mech, which is completely unused in current day versions of the game and was meant to be used as a boss at this point. I'd assume they were in the process of adding the mech and they accidentally broke the effects and just left them on the original Z-Mech. I'm not really too sure, but the effects are there nonetheless. As for the Colonel Corn, he didn't really receive many changes from this pre-alpha to modern day, but there is a few differences in this video that aren't in the current day version, such as his walk cycle being completely different. These animations are probably replaced with the ones we have now around late 2015, since there's videos on the PVZ YouTube channel from late 2015 using these old animations still. Along with this, the Butter Barrage used to have an old siren sound that's kind of suppressed in the current day version of the game. It's still low, but it's just really quiet now. Here's what it used to sound like. As for Super Brains, he's received a lot of different changes throughout the development of the game and also post-launch as well. To begin with, I'm going to list off a bunch of things they changed after the release of the game, so all these things are stuff that are in the game now that were added after launch. First of all, they can punch while in the air for most variants now. Along with that, he gets 2 kicks instead of 1. Turbo Twister doesn't last as long as it used to and can't be cancelled. His beam also overheats quicker and does less damage at range and has a longer penalty time as well. So now on to the stuff from the alpha and the beta. So to begin with, Super Brains didn't have infinite punches, he actually used ammo instead. He had 9 ammo and it would go down by 1 every time you attack and would have to reload after he ran out of ammo. You can see on screen how it used to function. In the pre-alpha footage you can see that Super Brains' final punch would knock back plants. The buff for the knockback is still in the game, so if you really wanted to add it back you can. Captain Deadbeard went through multiple different changes during the pre-alpha phase of the game. First of all, it sounds like he's using Captain Sharpbite and Captain Cannon's sound effects for his weapon.
At a safe distance, and a slow-firing, short-range, scurvy scatter shot.
Along with this, it seems like they haven't finished the animation for using the drone yet, so it just uses the cannon animation. You can see here.
In keeping with his long-range focus,
You can also see his cannon is his middle ability, which was probably changed because they wanted it to be the same as Cactus. Finally, the Parrot Pal has 20 health. This persisted into the beta before they changed it on launch. So finally is Rose. This is the character that received the most changes from alpha all the way to full release, and even more changes after the game came out. So before we get into the pre-alpha stuff, I'm going to quickly go through everything that isn't in the game anymore that was in the game at launch. So to begin with, Rose had 125 health. Along with that, Rose had a higher field of view for homing in on targets, along with having a longer range as well. Time Snare used to last nearly 10 seconds, and Gertify didn't have as much gravity, so it could go further. You could respawn during Arcane Enigma as well. With all that out the way, let's move on to the pre-alpha stuff. Now to begin with, let's talk about Time Snare, because that is the one thing that everyone remembers from this pre-alpha video. If you look in the video, you can see how Time Snare put a time bubble down, which slowed down zombies and gave them the anti-gravity effect. We don't have much footage of this. Overall, there's only about 4 instances, I believe, of actual footage of Time Snare being used in this state. One of them is from the beta. However, the buff for this was left over in the game, so we're able to see exactly what it would do. On screen, I'll show you the file location along with all the different things inside of the buff file. Thanks to Brecco, we have the original Time Snare in-game that I'm going to show off now. Time Snare isn't the only thing that's different about Rose in this build though. If you look how Rose's primary weapon works, you can see it works very different to what we have now. You can see her projectile used to home onto zombies, then attach to it before exploding. This is very different to how she works now, where it just homes onto the zombie and immediately explodes, doing 9 damage. I think it's quite obvious why this was changed, since it would probably be the most obnoxious weapon in the game if this was left in. But I did manage to replicate how this weapon worked in a modern day version of the game, so I'm going to show that on screen now. Once again, big shout out to Gargo69 Jr. for the beta mod that was used for a lot of the background footage in this video. If you want to download the mod for yourself, I'll link his YouTube channel in the description so you can go over there and download the mod. Also, thanks to Brecco for making the Time Snare effects as well. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to leave a like, feel free to, maybe subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you all in the next one.